Okay, so picture this, right? You're training, you're an athlete, and you're training for this, like, huge game. But every time you really push yourself, you're kind of worried about getting injured.
Yeah, yeah, and
And
it,
it's,
definitely.
what if there was a way to prevent those injuries? Like to train smarter, not just harder.
Well, that's what we're looking at today. AI and sports injuries. It's really cool stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I'm fascinated by how this could like totally change how athletes train and get treatment. Like instead of just doing the same thing for everybody, maybe we could be more personalized.
Exactly.
So we're diving into this research paper. It's from the International Conference on Education and Multimedia Technology. It's called Harnessing an AI-Driven Analytics Model to Optimize Training and Treatment in Physical Education for Sports Injury Prevention.
Oh, okay.
It's a bit of a mouthful.
Yeah.
But it's basically where like sports science and cutting-edge AI kind of come together.
Okay, so let's start with the problem. Injuries.
Right.
They're like every athlete's worst nightmare. And, you have to train hard if you want to be good, but that also makes you more likely to get injured. It's kind of like the harder you push a car, the more likely something's going to break.
Yeah, that's a good analogy. And that's where like traditional training methods, I think, they fall short sometimes,
Yeah.
They're too general. They don't consider like how each athlete's body is different.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like they're using the same maintenance schedule for like a race car and a pickup truck.
Right, totally. And that's where AI comes in.
Okay.
Researchers are developing AI models, specifically, what are they called? Recurrent neural networks, RNNs.
RNNs. Okay.
Yeah. And these are like next level algorithms. They can really,
Yeah, they're not
they can do a lot.
not your average algorithms.
No, not at all. They're like, those detectives and crime shows who can put together all these like seemingly random clues?
Yeah.
It's kind of like that. They analyze patterns over time, like connecting events to figure out what caused the injury. Imagine AI that can tell you you're about to tear your hamstring, like weeks before it even happens, just by looking at your training data and biomechanics.
Whoa, so it can spot it before a human could.
Yeah, basically. It uses things like, training schedules, past injuries, even like real-time feedback from sensors to create these risk profiles for each athlete.
Individualized. Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. Think of it as like a super smart coach who's always like one step ahead.
So instead of waiting for the injury and then treating it, this AI is preventing it. Right?
Exactly.
That's really interesting. So it's more proactive.
Totally.
Yeah, like a warning system
Exactly.
to tell you to like slow down and rest.
Yeah. Take care of yourself.
Especially for those athletes who are, really pushing themselves in those high intensity sports.
Yeah. And the accuracy is like crazy good. In some studies, they were able to predict injuries with like amazing accuracy, even better than some of the other methods like support vector machines, which are another type of AI model.
So it's not just hype.
It's the real deal.
real results.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm curious, what kind of data is the AI looking at to predict those injuries? Is it mainly like physical stuff, like how much they lift or how fast they run, or is it more?
That's a really good question. The physical data is important for sure, but it's not the whole picture. RNNs can actually look at stuff like sleep patterns, nutrition, even stress levels.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So it's like a holistic view of the athlete.
Yeah, exactly. It takes into account all these different things that contribute to, their overall health
Wow.
and performance.
That's really fascinating. So how does this all work? Like, how do they get this information into the AI? Are athletes wearing sensors all the time?
Well, it's kind of a mix of approaches. Those wearables like smartwatches and fitness trackers. They're getting really good, really sophisticated. They can capture a lot of data, but there are also these new sensors that can be like embedded in clothing.
Oh, wow.
Or even implanted under the skin.
Wow. So it's not just about how much you're training, but like the actual movements.
Right. Exactly.
That's where the AI can really help by giving you feedback on your technique.
Right. Totally. Imagine a runner who gets an alert if like their foot strike is wrong or their stride length is off. That kind of real-time feedback could be a game changer, both for preventing injuries and improving performance.
Yeah, totally.
You know what I mean?
So it's like taking the guesswork out of training, right? Making those small adjustments.
Exactly.
That can add up over time.
Yeah.
Wow. This is really cool. I'm actually kind of blown away by all of this.
Oh, this is just the beginning.
Wait, there's more?
Oh, yeah. So far, we've been talking about how AI can predict and prevent injuries.
Right.
But what about treatment and recovery.
yeah.
Like, imagine using AI to create personalized rehab plans, track progress, even develop new therapies that are, specific to each athlete's needs. That's where things get really interesting.
I mean, I've been reading about how AI can look at medical images and diagnose injuries more accurately. Could this technology also help us understand the long-term effects of those injuries and maybe even come up with strategies to reduce those risks?
Absolutely. That's exactly where things are headed. There's this whole field emerging around AI-powered diagnostics, personalized medicine, specifically for athletes.
Wow.
It's really exciting.
It sounds like AI has the potential to change not just how athletes train, but how they manage their health over their entire careers.
Yeah, for sure. It's pretty amazing what's happening right now.
But, before we get too carried away with all the possibilities, I think we need to talk about the human element in all of this.
Oh, yeah, that's a crucial point. This tech is incredible, but it's not about replacing coaches, trainers, doctors. It's about giving them better tools,
Yeah, so it's more about empowering them.
Exactly.
So instead of being replaced by robots, coaches will basically become like cyborgs, right? Augmenting their skills with AI.
Yeah. I like that analogy.
That's a really cool thought. But how do you think this will change the relationship between the coach and the athlete?
Well, think about it. Coaches could spend less time looking at data, crunching numbers, and more time actually working with their athletes, providing guidance, motivation, that kind of thing.
Okay, so the AI can do the number crunching.
Exactly.
Freeing up the coach
right.
to focus on those things that AI can't do, right?
Yeah, things like building trust. Building that team spirit, inspiring the athletes, all that stuff.
So it's kind of like having a really smart assistant.
Yeah, for sure.
Who can give you personalized recommendations.
Exactly.
So the coach can focus on those more human elements.
Right. It's about finding that balance.
Yeah.
Where human intelligence and artificial intelligence work together.
Right, so they each have their own strengths.
Exactly.
See that? And by having access to all this data and analysis, coaches can be more proactive about keeping their athletes healthy and training safely. But what about the ethical side of all this? How do we make sure this technology is used responsibly?
Yeah, that's a big one. And it's something we'll definitely dig into deeper in the next part of our deep dive.
Okay, so stay tuned for part 2.
We'll be talking about those tough questions.
Right.
About the ethical side of AI in sports.
Really important stuff.
Absolutely.
Welcome back to our deep dive on AI in sports. Last time we were talking about how AI could change the game, helping athletes train smarter and avoid injuries.
It's pretty amazing, but like any powerful tech, we got to think about what happens when we let algorithms make decisions.
Yeah, it's like giving a supercomputer the playbook for an athlete's entire career.
Exactly.
So we need to make sure that it's making good decisions.
Yeah.
Ethical ones.
Right.
We're talking about some really sensitive data here.
Mm-hmm.
Everything from like how their body moves to their sleep, even their genes.
Right.
How do we make sure that information is protected and not, used against them?
One big thing is data security. We got to be really careful about who can see this data and how it's stored. Imagine like an athlete's injury predictions being leaked, or even worse, used by like a rival team.
Oh, yeah. Or like a sponsor dropping them because their AI said they were injury prone.
Exactly. It's a real risk.
That's like a sci-fi nightmare, right?
Yeah.
Where athletes are judged based on these AI profiles.
Right.
It makes you wonder about fairness and transparency in a world where sports are driven by data.
Absolutely. And it's not just about protecting athletes. We also got to think about AI being used to, like, cheat.
Oh, interesting.
Like, imagine a team using AI to manipulate their training data so they get an advantage.
It's like the next level of those doping scandals, right?
Yeah. Instead of drugs, it's algorithms.
Yeah. Performance-enhancing algorithms.
Exactly.
It could really mess things up.
Totally. It could make competition unfair and make people lose trust in the whole system.
So what do we do? How do we prevent that?
We need clear rules about using AI in sports, like ethical guidelines, data privacy rules, and ways to make sure everyone's following the rules.
So it's kind of like we need almost like a global governing body for AI in sports, right?
Yeah, like an AI ethics council.
Yeah, exactly. Who would set the standards and make sure everyone is playing fair?
Yeah, exactly. It would take a lot of cooperation, though, like between sports organizations, tech companies, even governments.
Yeah, that's a big task, but it sounds like it's essential, right?
Oh, absolutely.
If we want to keep sports fair and keep that trust that fans have.
Definitely.
It's not just about the big picture stuff, though. We also need to think about the individual athlete and how this tech affects them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. It's easy to get excited about all the possibilities and forget that we're talking about real people
Right, yeah.
with their own goals and feelings.
Imagine being an athlete and, like, having your whole training schedule decided by an algorithm.
Right. What happens to your own intuition? What about just enjoying the game?
Yeah. We don't want athletes to just become, like, robots themselves.
Exactly. There's a risk of losing that human connection.
Yeah.
The relationship with the coach, the team spirit, all of that.
That's what makes sports so exciting, right?
Absolutely.
It's not just about physical ability. It's about the heart, the dedication.
Right, the human spirit.
Exactly. And you can't program that into an algorithm.
No, you can't.
So how do we find that balance,
Yeah.
between the power of AI and the heart of sports?
It's tricky. It's about using AI to help humans, not replace them. Coaches will be even more important in this future.
Okay, so they guide the athletes.
Yeah, help them understand the data, make sure they don't lose sight of their own goals.
It's more of a partnership, right?
Exactly. The AI provides the information, the coach provides the context, the human touch.
It's a team effort.
Yeah, for sure. And don't forget, AI is still in development. It's not perfect.
Right.
We can't just take everything it says as fact.
So we have to be careful, right?
Yeah, be critical, understand its limitations.
Think for ourselves.
Exactly.
Ultimately, the athletes and their teams should be the ones making the decisions, right?
Absolutely. Using the AI as a guide, not a rule book.
That makes sense.
And as AI keeps evolving, we need to keep talking about its place in sports.
Yeah.
It's complex, there are no easy answers, but we got to keep the conversation going.
It's a challenge, but it sounds like an exciting one, right?
Oh, definitely. In the next part, we're going to switch gears a bit.
Okay.
We'll talk about all the cool stuff AI can do in sports.
The future of training, performance, even new kinds of sports.
Get ready. It's going to be wild.
All right, so we've covered the risks and the ethics, but honestly, I'm ready for the fun stuff. You mentioned some mind-blowing possibilities with AI in sports.
Oh, yeah, we're just scratching the surface.
So let's dive into that, like the future of training, performance, maybe even new sports altogether.
Okay, get ready, because things are about to get really futuristic. Imagine you're a sprinter training for the Olympics.
Okay.
But instead of just running on a track, you're wearing this, like, high-tech suit with sensors all over it.
Okay, like motion capture.
Yeah, kinda, but even more advanced. These sensors are picking up everything, every tiny movement you make.
So what kind of data are we talking about?
Everything. Stride length, foot strike, which muscles you're using, how much oxygen you're taking in. It's all right there in real time.
And it goes straight to the AI, right?
Exactly. The AI analyzes it instantly and gives you feedback that, like, no human coach could ever give you.
Wow. So it's like having a virtual coach running alongside you, telling you exactly what to do.
Pretty much. It could be something simple, like a little buzz on your wrist if your form is off, or like a voice in your ear saying, hey, shorten your stride a bit. But the real game changer is when you combine that real-time feedback with AI-generated training plans.
Oh, so it's not just reacting to what you're doing right now, it's creating a whole plan for you.
Exactly. A personalized plan that adjusts to your body, your progress, even the weather.
That's wild. It really is like having a super coach who knows you better than you know yourself.
Right. And it goes beyond physical training, too. AI can help you train your brain.
Really?
Like virtual reality. You could use VR to simulate game situations, train your reaction time, decision-making, all of that.
So like taking video game training to a whole new level.
Exactly. And I've even heard of AI being used to analyze an athlete's mental state, like if they're stressed or tired.
Wow, so it can tell when you're not in the right headspace.
Yeah, some researchers are using things like biofeedback and neurofeedback with AI to help athletes control their emotions and focus better.
So it's like having a personal sports psychologist with you at all time.
It's getting close, yeah.
This is incredible. What about the fans? How does all of this affect how we watch sports?
Oh man, imagine watching a game and having all these real-time stats and analysis right there on your screen.
Okay.
You could even choose different camera angles, like a personalized broadcast.
Yeah, that would be awesome. And AI could even like tailor the commentary to what you're interested in?
Absolutely. You could have a total customized viewing experience. And think about highlights and documentaries.
Yeah.
AI could go through hours of footage and pick out the best moments, the most exciting plays.
Create those like viral moments instantly.
Exactly. And it's not just about watching, it's about playing too.
Okay, now you're talking.
Yeah.
AI-powered robots playing against humans.
Well, not necessarily robots. But AI could create totally new sports or change the ones we already have.
Oh, like how?
Imagine a basketball court that reacts to the player's movements in real time.
Whoa, that's
It's
crazy.
like a video game come to life.
Yeah.
And AI could create personalized training programs for like everyday people who just want to get better at their favorite sport.
So it's not just for the pros.
Not at all. It's about making sports more accessible and fun for everyone, no matter what your skill level is.
This is amazing. It sounds like AI could really revolutionize everything about sports, from how we train to how we watch and even play.
Exactly. It's about pushing the limits of what's possible, both for athletes and for the fans.
This is a future I'm definitely excited about.
Me too. And I think we're just at the beginning of this journey. It's going to be a wild ride.
Well, that's about all the time we have for today, but what a fascinating deep dive into the world of AI and sports. This technology is evolving so quickly, it's hard to know what the future holds, but it's definitely going to be exciting.
Absolutely.
And who knows, maybe one day we'll be watching robots play basketball in a virtual reality arena.
Anything's possible.
Thanks for joining us today, and be sure to check out the show notes for links to the research we talked about and more information on this fascinating topic. And keep those questions and comments coming. We love hearing from you.
Thanks for listening.